Hi, y'all. It's Catherine, and we're back with Shuffle the Podcast. And I have Kate here with me.
That's me, Kate, the critic with a heart of gold, coming at you from beautiful Permanent Record Studios on beautiful South Congress in beautiful Austin, Texas. And Kat, we have a fresh face with us in the Shuffle studio today.
Yes, fresh face to the podcast, but not to Shuffle. Welcome, Leigh, to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. I'm Leigh. I'm a writer and photographer for Shuffle Online.
And she does most of our music stuff and various events as well.
Yeah, I sure do.
So let's get started. What did you guys do this past weekend?
So this past weekend, we were coming off from Halloween. So in my household, we were kind of shaking out the last of our spooky must-watch. We caught a couple of horrors on Netflix. We went and revisited Halloween. I've been kind of obsessed since the premiere of Fantastic Fest. I've been writing Michael Myers hard the past... I've been writing Michael Myers hard.
I caught that one a little late. Yeah, I was like, yeah. Okay.
Well, when you paused, I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, it was just one of those things where I was sitting and thinking about it. And you actually want to know what I did with my Halloween, because I was sick and like partially high because I had been I'd been on like just medicine all day, like allergy meds, because I was feeling shitty. And so at about 9 p.m., I started coming up with spooky pickup lines and just harassing my partner. Like every 5 minutes, I'd be like, ghosts aren't the only thing that moan under the sheets. And like that was his reality for like 4 hours.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
No, he didn't like it.
This is like a side note, but I just saw, I was going through the Hemsworth Instagram because Chris posted about his brother, the older one, Luke. It was his birthday, and then I just went through like a Hemsworth Instagram purge. Anyway, Liam had posted a video of him scaring Miley, and she was like, "You fucking cunt," or whatever. It's like, "You're so annoying."
Beautiful. Yeah, that's my relationship exactly. So, Kat, what did you get into this weekend?
Oh, I had a lot of boring stuff. I'm moving next weekend, so all Saturday we just went to go shop. Shop till we dropped, but it was actually fun. There was no domestic disputes, and mostly probably because I actually was acting like an adult finally and not wanting my way. So we worked really well. So it was nice. Went to IKEA, went to Target.
Now, I'm going to turn this back around on you because you did this to me whenever I was moving, but if you could compare your moving experience to a movie or TV show,
Ooh.
Which one would it be?
Yeah, and that's fucking hard.
It is. It's hard.
But I would say right now it's really smooth. So what's something that's really smooth right now? Or a TV show that's smooth?
Bob Ross.
Yeah. What's a happy movie I've seen recently? I don't know. Well, since I've been moving in the helm of, I'll just say Sabrina, because she's very like, in the new Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, it's a new series on Netflix, and I feel like her character at least is very, what's that word? Like she knows what she wants.
Composed?
Yes, composed.
Yeah.
Even though there's like chaos going around her, or she's trying to make the decisions, and I feel like I at least know what I'm doing, and before I would probably just be I would be packing like I usually do the night before, and then there's just mega chaos, and I'm actually like 85% packed, which I'm really excited about.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What did you do this weekend, Leigh?
Yeah. So my weekend was pretty relaxing. Friday night, which I'll get into this later, but I went to a show at Stubbs. Basically, my favorite thing. I feel like Stubbs has become like my second home, which I'm not mad about. I went and saw Dawes. They were incredible. They actually had no headliner, and they played for like 3 hours straight. Well, not straight. They had like a short intermission. But that was incredible. And then had like an interesting night after that. My boyfriend joined me for the show, and we decided we originally wanted to go over to Small Victory, which is like a speakeasy near the Paramount Theater. And whenever we got there, there was like some asshole that was causing a scene with the bouncer, and the bouncer was just like, "Hey, come back in 20 minutes." So we were like, "Okay, cool, yeah." And so we left, went across the street to the Driscoll to just grab a quick drink, and got to talking with like a couple that was there as well, which really never happens. Like they just started talking to us, and we're like, "Okay, cool, like sure, we'll chat with you guys. And they started telling us how like the 5th floor of the Driscoll is haunted, and they were like walking around up there, and they highly encouraged we do the same. So after we finished our drink, we went up there and walked around, and it was pretty creepy up there. Like there's just really weird like paintings and portraits on all the walls, and you just walk around and it's almost like The Shining, like you get really turned around, and like we like made a loop around like the same corner, I think at least 3 times. But it was a lot of fun. And there's like, I think it was room 525 that was the haunted room, and we passed by it. But of course we tried to stay quiet, or I tried to stay quiet, but my boyfriend was like laughing and being really loud, and I was freaking out that like people were gonna get mad at us. But that was really fun. And then Saturday was super chill. It was such pretty weather here in Austin, so we spent some time at Zilker and ran some errands. And then yesterday we went to a fall festival at my boyfriend's work. He works at Samsung, and they put on a fall festival every year, and we got a caricature done. I don't know how you say that.
Caricature.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Got one of those done, which was really entertaining, and it turned out pretty good. We were pretty pleased with that. And then we got sushi and just chilled. It was a good weekend.
Oh, that sounds
Fucking
nice.
delightful.
Yeah. It was very delightful.
And then just for those who aren't based in Austin, Driscoll is like a fancy hotel, would you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely kind of one of the city icons, and, you know, like Leigh touched on, like a lot of history, and still has a very imposing presence on the Austin nightlife scene.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of interviews are held during festival time, so I've been there a lot. But I've never been to the 5th floor, so I need to go check that out.
It's pretty easy to get there. There's like no security. Like normally in hotels, you have to have a key card to go in the elevator. But near the bar, there's a bathroom, and right next to the bathroom, there's elevators, so you can just go up there super easily. So it was fun.
Yeah, but I probably won't go by myself because I'm scared to get.
Yeah.
So, with a fresh voice on the podcast, we're going to return to what should be something of a familiar fan favorite by now, but we are going inside the Shuffle studio. All right, so to kick things off, the most important question that we can possibly pose in this studio, or in any studio possibly, the only thing hotter than Cruz versus O'Rourke, the most important question in Austin at this point, green or red salsa?
I've thought about this before, and I used to think both, because like I used to kind of combine them, which I don't know, maybe that's like a huge no-no here in Austin. But I've realized over the past few months, like on my breakfast tacos, I've been leaning towards green. I think I have changed to the green side for the better. So that's my answer.
What the hell?
Caitlin just gave a really nasty look. But I win. All right, so what's your favorite curse word?
Okay, well, I mean, when I'm like really mad or frustrated, a big old fuck gets the point across. But lately, I've been like doing this like weird tone of saying bitch. Like I think I get it from my boyfriend because he does it. Like whenever I'm in the car with him and somebody cuts him off, he's like, bitch. And like I've really picked that up, and I've noticed it's not a good thing sometimes because we both do it in public. So we're like, okay, maybe we should cool it down and not say bitch as often because everybody probably thinks we're calling them a bitch. But that's probably my favorite curse word as of lately. And also like in a fun way with my friends, like, oh bitch, like a light little bitch is, sometimes fun.
Yeah, what a good bitch among friends. And I'm always down for a big ol' fuck, as you said. Kind of funny, we've been talking about relationship dynamics here. My bad habit that my partner and I have picked up in public is we started saying, fuck you, like Cartman. So it'd be like, fuck you, Ryan, around the house. And now it's, fuck you, Caitlin, fuck you, Ryan, anywhere at all. So I feel like when you're saying that, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it is embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, at least for me, actually, I don't think my boyfriend has any shame at all saying it. I'm the one being like, Dylan, okay, tone it down. You said that too loud. I understand she cut you off, but, calm down.
Bitch. Okay, so kind of snowballing off of that, something that's really important to me, just in judging the character of a person, are you more into the movie theater or Netflix at home? And you need to not laugh at me.
Hey.
Like
Who's the host of it?
I see you going out of the corner of my eye. It's like, what am I doing wrong?
No, it's good.
No, that's a great question. Well, I have to say, the past 3 months have been different than my normal life. I broke my femur, so I've been homebodying for a while, so it's been a lot of Netflixing. But I do love going to the movies. It just, it's a lot more effort sometimes these days, especially with like a movie pass, which I probably won't renew, even though I love it. It takes a lot of effort to go to a movie with a movie pass. So I'm gonna say Netflix at home.
Awesome. Yeah, and just want to say for the listeners out there, Leigh is a trooper because she broke her femur, and then I don't know if you had a show or something. And then I was thinking, like, oh, of course you're going to be out for a few months or something. And then you were like 2 weeks later, she was like, hey, I want to go to a show. I have FOMO. And I'm just like, what? Aren't you like on crutches? And so
yeah.
She works hard for those photos. So please go show her some love.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, the FOMO was real for a while. So I was really itching to get back into, real
Crutches
life.
are handy in a mosh pit.
They can be handy. And actually, at that particular show, I still had my walker, and I put this sign on it that said I broke my femur, ask me anything, and it was quite a hit. So,
what was the weirdest question you got?
I can't even remember now. I think there was some old guy that was like trying to approach me, and like maybe because like I heard him like from like around the corner, like say something like, oh, I'm gonna go. I'm pretty sure he was like really drunk, and I was kind of scared what he was gonna ask me because I'm pretty sure he was gonna like ask me out or something. And I don't know. That was maybe the weirdest, but yeah, it was funny.
Did people treat you nicer with the walker?
They do, but it's almost like a pity sort of thing. And that's what the weirdest thing about the whole, like about going out with either a walker or crutches is that I didn't have a cast, which is pretty amazing. Apparently casts are like not a thing anymore, according to doctors. So I look like a perfectly healthy, normal person with this grandma looking walker or these crutches. And people are kind of like, they like double take and are like, what, why is she with a walker? Why does she have crutches? But yeah, I guess they do. In a way, yeah, they would treat me nicer. Like, I remember I was at Costco once and this guy like cut in front of me to get a sample and he like turned around and saw that I was in one of those like motor like cart things, which was probably like the highlight of this whole entire experience is being able to like roll around Costco in a motorized cart. It was great. But he turned around and he like immediately saw that I was, in the motorized thing and felt so bad and was just like, I'm so sorry I cut in front of you. I was like, hey, man, it's okay. It's just a sample. Like, I can wait for another one. So, yeah, I think people overall are a little bit nicer to see people in, crutches or
that's
whatnot.
Good to know.
Yeah,
that people are nice. Yeah. All right, so transitioning, like I said, Leigh is our music guru, or if I haven't said that, she is at Shuffle. So what are your top 3 favorite albums, artists, songs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So top 3 artists, Gregory Alan Isakov is like my number 1 at this point. I can listen to him every day. I don't think I'll ever get sick of him. He's kind of like a singer-songwriter. His music is it's probably some of the most relaxing music I think I've listened to. A lot of his music is relating to like space, the atmosphere, world. It has a big nature feel to it. So every time I listen to it, I feel like really immersed in nature in a way. And of his albums, he has one that he recorded with the Colorado Symphony. He's from Colorado. And it is one of the most beautiful albums I think I've ever listened to. It took a lot of tracks from his previous albums, and just having the whole entire orchestra backtracking is just absolutely breathtaking. And I got to see him perform. It wasn't with the Colorado Symphony, but it was with the Oregon Symphony when I was in Portland, and it was just probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. That's really extreme sounding, but if you know me, you know I like feel so deeply for music. Who else? Let's see. Fleetwood Mac is definitely up there too. I grew up listening to them. Thank my sweet father for that. And yeah, I think forever and always they will be up there for me. I feel a lot of nostalgia listening to their music. and they're still kicking it, even though Lindsey Buckingham unfortunately is no longer in the band. So sad. And then who else? Let's see. Choosing 3 is really tough for me. I have like my like top 10, which pretty much never move, but there's not like a rank necessarily. I'm going to have to go back to like, this is totally different genre, but I'm going back to like middle school, high school Lee. Dashboard Confessional is probably up there for me, for sure. That's pretty much all I listened to during my like awkward middle school years. And Chris Carrabba is just still beautiful. And, you know, I like to think that some of that emo Lee is still alive and well.
Yeah, there was an emo cat, and I love Dashboard Confessional as well.
Yeah.
That was my go-to, like, all through high school.
So great.
Oh, I love it. But on the other side of that, are there some songs, artists, albums that you absolutely hate if something comes on the radio or your phone?
Yeah, you know, not necessarily like artists, but there's genres that I really am not a big fan of. I've never been a big country fan. In college, like I would ride along with my roommates and they were big country fans, and I would joke all the time, be like, I think you need to pull over. I'm like really nauseous. And they're like, what's going on? I was like, you got to turn this music off. I hate country. And then they would, you know, laugh and be like, oh my gosh, Leigh, you're so ridiculous. So yeah, not a big country fan, but I love bluegrass though. So there's kind of like a fine line between the two for me. And then I will say there's some rap that I like, but I don't know, it's very specific. Like I like Kendrick Lamar, I like Chance the Rapper. There's a handful of others that I like. But I would say like overall, it's definitely at the bottom of the list for me. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't like to pick on artists really. So I'd hate to like say somebody that's my least favorite artist, but I think when it comes to it, it's mostly genres. So that, and then again, I know Dylan will hate me for saying this, but Screamo's not a big thing for me. And we're actually going to Under Oath tomorrow night.
Is that a Screamo band?
Yeah.
Yeah, major. Yeah. It's his choice. You know, you do things for the people you love, and he's been to plenty of shows with me, so I'm taking one for the team, and it'll be interesting. Hopefully, I don't get caught up in any mosh pits.
Bring your walker.
That's a great idea. I should.
You want to ask one?
I'm still like caught on the image of like a Mad Max like spiked walker. It's a fully fledged concept now.
Oh man, I should have done that for Halloween. We actually watched Mad Max like 3 weeks ago. That would have been hilarious.
Badass.
I've always wanted to be Furiosa for Halloween.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'll save the walker
Next
maybe
year,
next year.
keep it.
So I'm guessing coffee, since you're drinking coffee, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Coffee or no coffee. Do you have a favorite order, or do you black?
I'm a black type of coffee drinker. Yeah, that sounded really weird.
BBC Big Black Coffee.
Don't worry, I always say the worst things in the order.
What have we done today? We've done I like black coffee. We've done Ride Michael Myers hard. Kat, it's your turn.
I'm sure I'll have one. I'm guessing I know the answer, but this might be mixed. When you're in Austin traffic, do you listen to music or a podcast?
So Austin traffic, I will listen to music. But if I'm traveling anywhere, like if I'm going home to Dallas, I normally listen to a podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something else we like to ask often in the Shuffle Studio is what gets you hype?
So probably no surprise here. A really good concert gets me super hype. Like one of those shows that just blows you out of the water. Like, and they play all the songs that you really love and know all the lyrics to. Yeah, that totally gets me hype.
And then segueing into the next question, what's been your favorite Shuffle event so far? I mean, you've been to non-concert stuff, but most of it has been concerts, and I know some have been pretty epic for you. So
Yeah.
Do you have any favorites this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's almost two different categories, like festivals and concerts, because they are totally different experiences. The way that you immerse yourself in the music is totally different at a festival versus concert. But I think like looking back, out of the festivals, In Bloom was really awesome. That was my first time at In Bloom. It's a festival held in Houston. And I think this was actually the first year that they held it in the spring, right, Kat?
Yes. So the last 2 years I had attended it, and it was, I think, right before South by.
Right, yeah.
And it had rained out completely, so it was always drenched. Like, I got caught in one, I think it was in 2017. It was like, and it was called a Free Press, what was it called? Free Press Houston something, or I'm not sure. I'll just In Bloom was previously branded as something else. I'm not sure what the name was, but they went ahead and changed it because there was always so many, like the headliners on Sunday would never perform because it rained out.
Yeah.
It was always muddy, and then like I guess refunds got a little tricky, so they went ahead and rebranded to In Bloom this year, and they moved it a few weeks after South by, which happens like mid-March, and it was perfect because then the weather was really nice.
So In Bloom was definitely one of my favorite festivals. Great weather, amazing headliners. Sylvan Esso performed, Mickey Echo, who I'm a big fan of. And then, of course, some fun ones. Lil Wayne was great. That was a blast. Ying Yang Twins were there. Overall, it was a really great weekend and really relaxing, laid back. The whole vibe there was really nice.
And then we like to close it out with the non-God question, just reimagined. So if you died and went to, I guess, concert music heaven, which musician would you want to be for your afterlife? Or maybe the spirit of it, because you want to be unique. And then who would you want to meet while you're there?
That's a great question. And I'm going to have to say Stevie Nicks for sure, hands down. Like, she is my spirit animal. And actually probably be too long of a story, but my uncle actually met her once, and she sounds just like a really lovely person. And then, of course, if I was Stevie Nicks, I would meet a bunch of really awesome people. Like, I would want to meet Bob Dylan, which I'm sure she has many times, and Neil Young and James Taylor and all those people that are, I guess, older folks, but amazing musicians.
Is there a concert or festival that you would have loved to go to that you weren't alive for, or just it didn't happen?
Oh, well, that's a great question.
Like a Woodstock or something.
I guess Woodstock comes to mind first, for sure, just because that is legendary. I think that would be up there on my list for sure.
Now, here at Shuffle, we are so #blessed to have Leigh. We are also #blessed to be based in the live music capital of the world. So, of course, Leigh does a ton of great work. There's a ton of great music in Austin, and she just does a phenomenal job. She's the expert. That's why she's on here talking to you. And so, Leigh, we want to pick your brain. We want to know all about the musics. Kat, take it away.
Caitlin and I love movies, TV. I love that side of entertainment. Music I love, but I don't know that much about it, or it's just too much to go into my brain. I think the high school emo cat was the extent of my really, going deep into music.
Yeah.
So what is it about music that makes you kind of feel the same way that we do about movies and TV?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, it really stems kind of back to how I was raised. My dad is a huge music person, and I always remember music playing in the house, and kind of, I was just grown up on music, and it just carried through out my whole life. And I think where I really started to kind of, get my own taste into music was more like, middle school, high school, kind of getting into that emo phase. But then also, the Garden State soundtrack really changed my life, which is another extreme sort of statement to say, but it really did. And yeah, I really love music because these artists pour so much emotion out into their lyrics and the melodies. And I've been dabbling myself in songwriting, and kind of seeing that process myself makes me appreciate other artists even more. Because it takes a lot to write a song. And it really takes a lot to showcase that song to another person, because it's like sharing your personal journal with others. So yeah, that's really why I love music. You can really tap into what that person was feeling in that moment when they were writing that song.
Leigh, something that you touched on in your introduction that was really interesting was you drew a distinction between the festival experience versus the concert experience. Would you mind unpacking that a little bit more, and maybe sort of kind of coming from the perspective of an artist yourself, and then just as a, more than casual music lover, what really makes those distinct and what kind of informs your preference at a given moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So festivals to me are a bit more of a social experience. You go with friends. It's a weekend-long event. There's all sorts of things to do there. There's the music. There's just hanging out with your friends, that whole part of it. There's all the good food, especially in Austin, ACL. The food is awesome. And then there's also, all the fun exhibits that the sponsors put up. So it's just, there's a lot more to be stimulated by at festivals. There's a lot more going on. And although, a big part of it is music and, you'll find me, right there at, all the stages, it's just outdoor venues in general, minus Stubbs, because Stubbs Amphitheater is amazing, the acoustics are different. The whole entire setting is a little bit different versus a concert. A concert is a lot more intimate. I think that really is what the big difference is that concerts are so intimate. You're in a more enclosed area. It's smaller. And at a concert, you know that people who are purchasing tickets for that particular concert must love that band. Whereas a festival, people just kind of pop around. They're, experiencing new music. They might not even know that band, but they're standing there in the crowd. Not a bad thing. It's a great thing, actually. But it's just a different experience overall. I think, festivals, things can get a little bit rowdier than a typical concert. Again, not a bad thing, but just different.
Yeah, and then the elements, like the concert, rains out, you have to be able to brave it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and then can you talk a little bit about just being here in Austin and experiencing all the different venues, and if you can describe a little bit for the listeners about how it is to be a music lover and concert goer in Austin?
Yeah. Austin's been such an amazing place. I used to live in New York City, and which is a great place for music as well, but music is more accessible here in Austin. I feel like it's easier to get to. The crowds are nicer. But yeah, some of my favorite venues, I've mentioned Stubbs a lot. Their outdoor amphitheater is really amazing, especially on, a night where the weather is really, really lovely. Antone's is downtown. That's a definitely a historic venue as well. That one's very small setting, though some big bands do play there. They are definitely more smaller sort of sets there. What else? Emo's is obviously a big one here too. That's a larger indoor venue. I would say, on the list, it's, number one, I feel like is Stubbs is probably the biggest. And then, Emo's is a close second. And then there's other places like Mohawk that's right down the street from Stubbs. That one is just a little different than others because it's a little bit more specific to hard rock, metal, screamo sort of bands performing there. And then, you can find music anywhere. All the bars on 6th Street, there's constantly people playing open mics, not just on 6th Street, but on the east side, you can always find live music wherever you pop into. It's really amazing.
So have you gone to any particularly cool events or talked to any cool people lately for Shuffle?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, this past weekend, I went and saw Dawes. They are a Americana folk rock band from Los Angeles. I've been listening to them for years, and they're up there. I guess they didn't make my top 3, but they're within that top 10 for sure. And I think this is my 4th time seeing them, and every time I've seen them, they've just blown me out of the water. They're very fun to watch, very upbeat, happy music. But then they have, a couple of those songs that really pluck at your heartstrings and make you feel a lot of emotions. But yeah, they were great. As I mentioned earlier, they performed for, 3 hours straight. Well, not straight again, with an intermission, short intermission. But they were really incredible. They had no headliner or anything like that. So for me, it was just great. I totally ate it up. other than that, a week before that, I went and saw Mallrat and Maggie Rogers. Mallrat opened for Maggie Rogers. Mallrat is a pop artist from Australia. I'd actually seen her perform for the first time during South by Southwest. And she's really fun. She's super sweet, really talented. She started writing music when she was in high school and has really made a lot of strides since then. I mean, she's on tour now with Maggie Rogers, who Maggie Rogers is another artist that's made a lot of strides throughout the years. She kind of started out smaller, really cool. I'll make it short. Sort of story. She actually really launched her career when she took a master class with Pharrell Williams. And one of her most famous songs, Alaska, she wrote in 15 minutes, which is pretty amazing. And there's this video where Pharrell is listening to this track of hers for the first time. And afterwards, he's just left speechless and basically tells her, I have no feedback for you. You totally hit this. You are unique. Keep on doing what you're doing. And she's created a lot more since then. And then, amazingly enough, she was on SNL this past weekend. And it was really cool to see. I watched it yesterday, and it was so cool because, I mean, her whole performance was amazing, but you could tell kind of at the beginning, her first performance, you could tell that she was a little nervous. I mean, it's SNL, so, rightfully so. But by the end of the song, she was just rocking it. And then the second set she performed, she was just radiant. I mean, it was like as if something had moved through her, and she was like barefoot on SNL stage, dancing everywhere. And the praise that she received afterward was really cool. I mean, John Mayer posted something on his story about, wow, like I have goosebumps. Like her life is different now. Her life is going to be different after this performance on SNL, which I'm sure it will. Like I think her career is really headed in a good direction. So her show at Stubbs was amazing.
I'm just going to interject. If you want to see really cool photos that Leigh took of Mallrat, Maggie Rogers, and Dawes, you can check them out at cheffonline.net.
Yeah, absolutely.
First plug.
Yeah. And speaking of the photos, it was at Dawes, I actually was a little bit nervous to go up to the photo pit and be so close to Taylor Goldsmith, who I'm kind of in love with.
Is Taylor Mandy Moore's husband?
Yes.
Wife. No, wait, husband.
I think they're engaged. I'm not sure. I don't know if they got married yet, but they are together, which Mandy Moore, man, she has good taste in music. She's engaged to him. And then before that, she was married to Ryan Adams, who's also an amazing singer-songwriter. She's got it going.
Can you talk a little bit about being in the photo pit? What's that like?
It's different depending on the show. There's some shows where there's not as many photographers up there and it's pretty chill and laid back. There's others where it's really packed, so it's kind of hard to go from one end of the stage to the other. But it is such a fun and fulfilling moment for me. Obviously being that close to the artist that I love is really amazing. But then there's something also really amazing about capturing those moments where they're so in the zone on stage, especially those first 3 songs. They're coming out on stage, they're kind of gauging the audience, and you can just kind of see it throughout those 3 songs that, they're totally, in it. And it's really cool to capture those photos and then, of course, go through them afterward and just kind of, see that through their facial expressions, through their dancing, all that good stuff.
We started this episode off, with going in hard on Michael Myers and a quasi-ghost story. But the thing is that Halloween is over, which means Christmas has started. And maybe for some of you casuals, Thanksgiving is floating around in there somewhere. But really, it's the holiday season. And Leigh, of course, holiday music is such a big part of the holidays. So, first of all, I have to ask you, are you one of those people who, puts away the pumpkins and puts up the Christmas tree, or are you a hardcore Thanksgivingite?
So I'm not hardcore Thanksgivingite. I like Thanksgiving, but I do firmly believe that Christmas time does not start until Black Friday.
Okay.
So after Thanksgiving, I go wild. It's Christmas time for me. I take everything down. I put all the Christmas stuff up. I start listening to Christmas music.
I'm the same way. Black Friday is the sacred day. Yeah. But kind of keeping that in mind, what are some tunes or some little kind of casual traditions that you might be engaging in now to get yourself hyped, get yourself ready?
Yeah, what record do you put on?
Yeah. Oh man. So I'm obsessed with Christmas music. I would have to say my top Christmas albums. James Taylor Christmas is a classic. Charlie Brown Christmas is another classic. Love it so much. Some others that I really enjoy, A She and Him Christmas, which
Yes!
is, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm just as enthusiastic about it. It's Zooey Deschanel with M. Ward, and they're actually coming here to Austin.
Yeah, we may be covering that.
I know, I really hope so. That would be really amazing. It's a very She and Him Christmas, and I think it'd be a really great way to launch off the holiday season. And then kind of fun fact, kind of embarrassing, I really love these couple albums that, again, I blame my father for. It's like Celtic Christmas music. You viewers can't see this, but I have red hair and I'm very pale, and I have freckles, so I am clearly of Irish descent. So I feel like a very, strong connection to Celtic music, and it just really gets me in the mood. Really does.
Bitch, me too.
Yes.
Like, same. Like, you guys have, like, seen me if you look on our Instagram, unfortunately, but, like, I'm pale. And my name's Caitlin Kennedy. Like, I'm Celtic as fuck. So I totally feel you on that. Oh, my God.
And I'm not, I'm brown as fuck, but I love the Irish, so yay.
Yay.
I love Celtic music too. But is there any, you spoke about Christmas music, is there anything for November that you recommend or to get you kind of in the Thanksgiving thankful mood?
Yeah, I mean, some of the Charlie Brown music I will listen to before Thanksgiving. I feel like that's kind of a good transition into like the full-on Christmas mode. I can't listen to like full-on Christmas music before Thanksgiving, but there is some of those like non-lyrical tracks that I do enjoy, which Charlie Brown Christmas totally picks up on that. Yeah, so I realized Billie Holiday is definitely, I listen to her a lot during the fall. And it's kind of a good segue because she does have a great Christmas album. But just kind of jazz music in general just feels really right during the fall for me.
And so with it being cuffing season, one of the best ways to date your cuffmate, I guess we're going to make that a thing, cuffmate, is to go to the movies. And there's a lot of good ones coming out. Which one are you the most excited for, Kat?
Well, I'm really excited for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, just because I don't know. It's on HBO now, right now, and I've just already watched it. That movie I can put on whenever, and I just love it. It feels good. I think it just throws back the nostalgia to Harry Potter and just wanting to go back to that world, but in an adult sense, because it doesn't feel. I don't know, it just feels right for being an adult now and being a Harry Potter fan. So I'm really excited about them. And then I saw Dan Fogler and Alison Sudol talk about the upcoming movie at LeakyCon. So yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
I am so stoked on the second Fantastic Beasts installment, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And I'll invite controversy by saying that I've had a tough relationship with the film since Depp's casting as Grindelwald, but I have a loyalty to the fandom and an interest in the overall cultural conversation to the point that I want to see it through. I want to see what he does. I'm not there for Depp. I'm there for everyone else.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things that it makes me sad just because I was the biggest, I don't know. I am still
It's a problematic fave.
Yeah, I love Johnny Depp. I mean, he was one of my all-time favorite actors growing up, even until adulthood. Just the last few years has been a little bit rough. I still don't know where I'm at with him. But it kind of evokes that emotion where now you kind of cringe a little bit because I still love him in some ways, but then it's also like, ooh, I don't know if I should be supporting him. And also just as a person, like, he doesn't seem like he's doing very well. So, I mean, not that I know his life, but yeah, it's just one of those kind of cringy, you're kind of watching a train wreck maybe things. So I don't know. It kind of does suck with that. But Grindelwald, I like the way he portrays him. I mean, from the little bit I saw in the last of the movie, which also makes me feel like, oh, why do you, just those feelings of love, hate.
Yeah, definitely go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess the good thing is he's playing an enemy, so we can all just still hate him in a way. No, but I feel the same way. It's just it's so tough to
navigate.
And to, really to dislike him now, because he played all of these amazing characters. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean was one of my favorites growing up, and he was just iconic, and we all loved him, and it's tough now, and I am looking forward to that movie a lot, but it's kind of tough to support that movie when a lot of issues have come about with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, definitely the epitome of the problematic fave, and kind of going off of the growth of the Harry Potter world, Wizarding World franchise. There is this huge disconnect now between the childhood innocence of those earlier films, and that fan base is adult now and is viewing those films through an adult lens. It's hard to completely get sucked up into fantasy as an adult viewer. You do bring some of the world in with you, and it takes a really good movie to fully bring you out of it. So it'll definitely be interesting. I'm looking forward to watching and reviewing it for Shuffle. So on the note of nostalgia, bringing the childhood viewing perspective into the adult, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. I haven't gotten to it yet, but there has already been so much interesting discussion comparing the older television series with this new take. I am so excited to hear what y'all think about it.
Well, I think the good thing about this retelling is the fact that the original cast kind of gave them a send-off. Like the original Sabrina, Melissa Joan Hart, the original aunts, I don't know their real life names, the guy who played Harvey on the original one that we watched on TGIF, they all gave their blessing, which was really nice. Like, I think if they hadn't, I think there would have been more of the discussion of, oh, do they like it? Oh, do they, hate it? Kind of like the Charmed reboot is having, with the original cast, like, hating on them. They're like, oh, they ruined our thing. And so I think it kind of, with that blessing, made it maybe so for me, being I used to love Sabrina just because you were still little, so you felt like it could be real, I guess. Maybe that was just me. And so I really loved the original. So I was kind of weary of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, how they were going to do it. But what they did, I think, is unique, and it's their own, and the characters are really great. I don't know if Leigh will feel the same, but like Kiernan Shipka, who plays the new Sabrina, is awesome. She played Sally on Mad Men, so she was younger. So I wasn't sure how her acting chops were going to hold up, but she's awesome, and I'm really excited to see where her career goes. But the new Sabrina is just so, like, she knows who she is. She doesn't take shit from anyone. If her friends are getting bullied, she stands up for them. She's totally in sync with her relationship. She has no kind of waverings except the witchy part, which I thought was really good to see. Like, someone, especially being young, just have so much conviction, I guess. Like, she knows who she is at such a young age, and she says what she feels. And I thought that was really, I liked that part a lot about the new Sabrina. What about you?
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved the new Sabrina. I think Netflix took a really good direction on making it really dark. I think they were kind of building off of other shows that they've put out lately, like Stranger Things, another very dark show. And I think they're kind of riding that train. I think they're realizing that the audience really likes those sort of shows that kind of make you jump a little bit. And the new Sabrina, there were moments where it was pretty creepy. But I absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed the new kind of spin on it, and agree. Like, she is such a confident character, which, I loved the old Sabrina for sure. It felt more to me, growing up, it's so much lighter. The older Sabrina, it's just kind of more, she has those enemies that she needs to defeat, but it's more of kind of the high school life, high school drama sort of thing. Whereas, this new show, there's a darkness to it that's still relatable in a way, given that she's standing up for her friends and she's speaking up for herself. And I think it really relates a lot to, how we should act in this day and age. We should stand up for ourselves and our friends, and we should speak up and be heard. And I think her character, excuse me, really portrays that well.
Yeah, I guess the only thing maybe overall that I didn't just maybe a note is that I guess I was expecting the glitter kind of thing with the magic, so I was always waiting for it. And then this retelling, they're just chanting, I guess Latin or whatever when they're doing spells. So that kind of was one thing where I brought from the old Sabrina. I was like, where's the magic? Where's that glitz and glam? And I want to see spells being done that way. But they did it. I guess it fit the kind of like the Riverdale thing they're going for, like dark, realistic. But that was one thing I was kind of bummed about, just because I loved the old way they did the magic. And also, I kind of wish they would have explained that a little bit more, just because they just do it, and we're just supposed to assume that. Like the spells and how she learned. Like, we never get a backstory on like when she found out or anything like that. Or
True,
I don't know.
Yeah. What did you think about the portrayal of Salem? Because that's totally different than the old show too. And I personally, I really liked it. I thought it was super cool the way that they portray Salem. And I have heard that that's how they were supposed to portray Salem to begin with. He wasn't supposed to be this comedic character. He was mostly supposed to be a protector for Sabrina.
Yeah, because I mean, this adaptation is going. I guess I haven't read the comic or is it graphic novel? I'm not sure, but or the Archie comics. Yeah. So I haven't I haven't read any of that, so I don't know. I'm just going based off Netflix show. But I liked it. I think it worked, and I think the thing that why it worked is because she was a good actor. She's a good actress. So she has to kind of talk and respond like they're going in a conversation, which I'm sure is hard with with the cat that doesn't talk. So yeah, I give her all the credit because she really was a good Sabrina. So I think it definitely is a binge worthy. If you haven't seen it and like that kind of stuff, definitely view it. So we've all seen The Haunting of Hill House, and that was a big thing on social media. Everyone, talking about when they were scared or that they loved it a lot. There's been kind of mixed reviews from people I've talked to with it. So what did you guys think about it?
Well, I actually have the same review for Haunting of Hill House that I did for Lost overall, which is it is a long, expansive, and beautiful journey in which you end up in fucking Iowa.
Well, I disagree with Lost and that thing. But I know where you're coming from, because I think the thing for me, and I love this TV show, or what Hill House did, is more psychological, and they really delve deep into the characters. So and then I like the way they tied it in with scary elements. So for me personally, like, if there's a shadow in your room, and then they tied it into like a childhood trauma, but then it ended up being like, no, there's not really a shadow, or it's not really a ghost. It's just your mind playing tricks on you because of all this deep-seated trauma you have or something like that. I like that.
It was an interesting exploration, and I mean, there's a whole thesis to be written on the discussion of trauma in horror this year. We saw it with Jamie Lee Curtis's character in Halloween. We do see that here. That is a central point of the show. And I guess my big beef with it is I'm a huge fan of the original novel. I'm a fan of both cinematic incarnations of The Haunting. And for me, and I get it. I understand that, like, emotional television and discussion of mental health and trauma, it's very hot right now. It's what we like to do. But I was so much more invested in the ghost story element about the time that those other elements started to flesh out, and it started to become a more like warm family healing story with like a spooky setting. That's when I started to like it less. I was interested in the ghost stories. As the show went on, it's like I'm less interested in unresolved trauma so much as I am, why is the house acting the way it is? What characters moving in and out, what do these ghosts have to do with it? That's what was interesting to me, and I understand that is strictly prejudice. And you know this, when I first started the show with my partner, Ryan hated it, and I was like, yeah, spooky. By the end of the show, he's like, I love it. And I was like, boo. So I understand it's a preference thing, but that's my preference.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that. I really enjoyed the more supernatural aspect of it, and I wish we could have gotten like the backstories of all the ghosts. That was something I was really interested in, and of course I've, been Googling different things and about, the man who,
Floats.
Sorry, what?
Floats.
Yeah, that guy who he basically killed himself by trapping himself in the wall. And there's like all these theories floating around online. And I'm just like, I want to know. Like, I want to know what happened to him. Why did he drive himself to do that? But yeah, I have to agree. There were some of the some of the parts that were more the family drama scenes got a little annoying to me in a way. Like, maybe that's harsh, but
I feel you.
yeah, and to me, it was. I really don't watch too many scary movies or shows, but this one to me, I was just so captured by, and it was that supernatural part of it. I liked the jumpy parts. I liked all of that. That being said, I think I was able to stand Haunting of Hill House. Given it's a scary show, it is slower paced, and I think that's why I didn't get too scared, which is nice. I don't do too well with like super scary movies because they're a lot more fast paced, and your heart is constantly beating a million miles per hour. But overall, I loved Hill House. I thought it was really well, and I'm really curious to see what they do for the second season.
Yeah, I think it's just I really appreciated the effort and not to go for the cheesy scares, I guess, is why I liked it so much. They try to flesh out the characters more. Like each episode, the first 5 are just based on the family, which I liked. That one scene where it's just the direction and the sets and the music. It was just all of it was really well done. Because some of the Netflix productions have been, you can tell like they just rushed it and it was a little bit cheap. This one you can tell they put a lot of detail in it. The way they move from shot to shot, like the younger characters to the older characters, like it was just really, I think, well made. So I think that's also what kept my attention as like a movie critic, is just, wow, this is like amazing for TV, because I watch a lot of TV. So to me, it's one of my favorite shows of the year. But I do feel like towards the end, I would say episode 8, 9, 10 is kind of where it was like, okay, I want some more scary. Like, yeah, I love the fact that they kind of went through their whole family drama mixed in with the scariness, but then it did kind of fall apart a little bit towards the end. But I feel like, and this is like, I think just the day and age of television, is they're always setting it up for the second season. So I feel like but if they don't do this in the second season, where they don't go exploring the ghost of Hill House, or like, that's what I would want to see in the second season. I'm okay with them kind of putting that in the back burner, because if they would have just given all that to us, explained every ghost, it would have kind of, I think, ruined it as well. So the fact that we can kind of just imagine what it is makes it even scarier to me. The fact that they were only there for like 6 weeks and then traumatized them their whole life, which probably would happen to me if I lived in there. So to me, it was just a very realistic horror drama. I mean, sans the ghost, but I feel like it can really go the long term in terms of TV, because I think that's their end game, maybe. Because if they would have just put all the shots out there, it would have been horrible. Like, I don't know, it wouldn't have set up anything. Because now we all want to know about the house. We all want to know about the ghosts. And then they can go into a deeper season 2, exploring that maybe with a different family or something.
Well, and that's something that I don't know how familiar you guys or our listening audience are with the original novel that it's based off of, but actually they did something very interesting with the Crane family, because the Crane family, conceptually, does appear in the original novel, but not remotely how they are portrayed here. It's a totally different role. And so, kind of with the lingering question in the air, okay, what position are they going to allow the Crane family to hold? They have done something different, because I don't want to be spoilery. I don't want to be
It's
spoilery.
fine, it's already out.
Because it's a good book. There's the potential, because the shit starts with the Crane family in the novel. The Crane family is responsible for what goes down in that house. Now, obviously, that's not how it went down in the television series. The Crane family were the victims of housefuckery at that point. So, sorry, housefuckery.
No, I agree.
Yes, you agree. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they kind of stay in the same vein as the novel, and the Cranes are the kicking off point for much more horrific events that you're aware of if you've read the novel, or perhaps if they're allowing the Crane family to just occupy the space of the other characters in the book, taking them out of that catalyst position and just allowing the victim thread to play through. It's really interesting, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do, but I definitely will be back, because there are so many opportunities with the source material that's out there that could just be really amazing.
Yeah, I think overall they did well, and I don't think they went for the easy route. I mean, it would have been easier to just, oh, we're a scary house and this is what we're doing, but the fact that they went so dramatic is, I like that choice. I think some people won't just because they are looking for the quick scares. But I think they set themselves up with a good foundation. So they can definitely, season 2, if they bring out all those cheesy, or not cheesy scares, but they can do a little bit more now that we know the basis of how it fucked up these kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was the scariest moment in the series for the both of you? I definitely know mine, but I'm just curious to see.
Well, this is like embarrassing to admit, but I would fast forward a little bit when I was sensing a scary moment, so I may have missed one. But I think definitely the bent neck lady was scary. And then I don't know. What was yours, Leigh?
I don't know what episode it was. I think it was maybe 8 or 9. When they're in the car, and I've already forgotten the characters' names. Oh my goodness, I'm awful. The 2 sisters. They're in the car on the not Nell, the other 2, but they're in the car. I think they're on the way to Hill House to go, save the brother, and they're like arguing. They're like yelling at each other, and out of nowhere, Nell comes in the back of the car and just starts screaming. I literally screamed at the top of my lungs. My neighbors probably thought I was getting murdered. That was because it just came out of nowhere because you're focusing on them yelling at each other. And then, I was so scared.
Mine was definitely the introduction of the bowler hat guy, because I'm a total wuss whenever it comes to horror movies. Like, I love them and I'm so in for it, but I will get spooked by the stupidest things. And at the time, I had a big old glass of milk and some Oreos, and I'm sitting there dipping my Oreo, and it was the scene where the bowler hat guy had come in and he's leaving, and then the boy makes a noise and the ghost starts coming back. And I just started to kind of screech, and it loudly crescendoed. And Ryan's like, "Don't spill that milk." And it's like, no. Because you're just in that vulnerable position where it's like, I'm going to jump, and milk and Oreo is going to go all over my couch.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was embarrassing, too, because I was watching it at home at night when my roommates were there. But then one of the dogs got let loose, and so they had to go run. I was like, I'll go with you, because I didn't want to stay in the house by myself. It was so stupid. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really good.
It was just really well made overall. The cinematography was amazing. The music was great. And I have to say, the last song in the season finale was Gregory Alan Iskov, who I mentioned earlier today.
Oh,
it's his song, If I Go, I'm Going. And it's probably my favorite song by his. But it was so fitting, and it just really wrapped up the whole entire season in a pretty bow. Brought all the feels.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Shuffle the Pod. Thank you guys so much. Leigh, thank you so much for coming on. She will definitely be back. And if you're not already creeping her on shuffleonline.net, what are you doing? Leigh, where can we find you on social media for those that have a new obsession?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I am at Lederhosen, which is LEIGHDERHOSEN. Play on words. I love it.
Oh my God, it's so clever. And we, of course, are Shuffle Online. You can find us on shuffleonline.net, of course, for all the goodies that we've talked about here today, as well as on Twitter and Instagram at Shuffle Online. And beyond that, if for some reason you're not following that and just want to follow Shuffle the Pod, that's weird. You can follow us on Instagram at Shuffle the Pod.